Welcome to this webinar. I'm calling this one Your 2020 Marketing Plan. It's the time of year right now where a lot of our attention goes to next year. So if you're in business or in a startup, if you're an apprentice studying for your marketing qualifications, if you're a student, if you're a business person, if you're commercial, if you're in leadership, if you're in a marketing role, any of these kinds of roles will currently be looking and be focusing on the 2020 marketing plan. In other words, where are you looking to take your business or your organization or your idea into next year? Okay, so this is all about trying to get to a position where our attention, and it really is about attention, focusing on plans for 2022. So right here, right now, we are focusing on 2022. Now, this is an interesting one because if you time this right, and if you have the right kind of thinking, the right kind of awareness about why this is so important, you can get in early. So you can beat the competition, you can create some super efficiencies, and by creating a marketing plan for 2022, it allows you then to shape up your activities, your thinking, and particularly become efficient with the resources, and that's the people, the budget, and the time that you're going to spend into next year. Okay, so this is not about just adding to the chaos of what might have been a pretty chaotic year. We've all sort of experienced a lot of change through 2021, and this is all about actually getting to a point where, you know, we're in a really strong position and a really good shape for next year. So I'm talking here, irrespective of the market sector that you serve, the kind of products or services that you have, this is all about starting to get some clarity and some direction going forward into next year. So why would you do a 2020 marketing plan? Well, what I'm going to talk to you about as we go through this session is to create a plan that's an investment. Okay, so when we talk about spending time or spending budget, you know, either on advertising or on kind of marketing comms and social media activity and the like, I don't want you to be spending, I want you to be investing, okay? Because by using the word investment, we're looking for a return, okay? So one of the really important things going forward into 2020 is I want you to obsess about investing your time, investing your people, if you're part of the team, and investing any budget that you might have for your marketing activities. You need to be investing it, not spending it. If you spend it, it just goes into this dark hole where, you know, you've no idea what the outcome is, you've no idea whether it was good, whether you could have done something better or anything like that. So I want you to invest it. In other words, you're consistently looking for some kind of return. And I also want you, and this might be something different to the way that you've done it this year. So if you're in an existing business, so you're not part of a new kind of startup organization, you're in an existing business, you probably have found that you've spent a lot of this year, 2021, chasing. Okay, so you've been doing a lot of activity, almost kind of reactively. So what I want you to do is to start thinking about being proactive. And I want you to think about the idea of allocating 80% of your resources, so that's your time, your energy, your people, your budget, in terms of kind of attention to things that are part of your plan. And I want you to think about using the other 20% of your resources for listening, watching, and innovation. In other words, not just putting everything into the delivery of the plan, but saving a little bit back, a little bit of energy within your organization and within the time that you have available to work. I want you to basically save back 20% as we start to plot and plan our 2022 marketing plan. Save 20% of your time and energy for listening, watching, and innovation. Because most of us in most industries, and I've got a lot of clients and I mentor a lot of people in lots of different sectors and industries, and I would say without exception, a lot of people, in fact, most people in business and in organizations right now, don't really, with complete confidence, know what's going to happen next year. Okay, we've got a pretty good idea. And if we've been in business a long time, we've seen cycles, we've seen repeat patterns of business that allow us to be able to forecast what's going to happen. But we can't do it with any kind of certainty like we might have been doing 2-3 years ago, pre all of the changes that most of us have seen across the planet in recent years. So we need to be allocating time and energy to listen, watch, and innovate. In other words, as we see things moving and adapting in our marketplaces, we watch, we listen, we become really curious, and then we innovate, we change and adapt either our plan, our strategy, our approach to market, maybe our tone of voice, maybe the channels that we use to communicate. We start to innovate and become a little bit different than we would have been had we not listened. So part of your focus for next year, I really would strongly encourage you to focus some time. And I really do mean focus time. Don't just say you're going to do it, but actually physically do it. Block out time and energy for listening, watching, and innovating. I'm going to help you in this session to focus on what I'm calling the 2022 marketing mix. The old marketing mix of product, place, price, promotion, the one that most of us in marketing have grown up with over the years, is dead. It really is genuinely dead. We have a new marketing mix that talks about sustainability. It talks about purpose. It talks about authenticity and transparency. There's a new marketing mix in town. And so what I want to do is help you to kind of focus on that as you build your plans for next year. I also want you to focus on the fact that less is more. I'm going to help you to select 3 strategic themes that you're going to focus on next year. So not try and do too much, because if you're anything like me, you've had to strip back some of the things that you've tried to do this year, because we all try to overcommit. We all try to say yes. It's the kind of nature of business that we all want to be really super helpful to everyone that we serve. And that's both, suppliers, it's other businesses, it's wholesalers, retailers, it's our customers, it's our teams. We want to say yes, but actually that can often inhibit us. So for 2022, I want to help you focus on a marketing plan that focuses on 3 strategic themes, and I'll talk about what those are. And then I'm going to help you to create the plan. Okay, so there's quite a bit in this. There's quite a few things to focus on that are going to be subtly different, or maybe majorly different, to how you've done this in recent years. So let's begin with this idea of a plan that's an investment. Okay, I don't want you just to create a plan of, actions that you're going to do next year. I want you to really genuinely focus on a plan that's an investment. In other words, everything, and I do mean everything, that makes your plan for 2022 for your marketing needs to show a return on investment, an ROI. You only have to search Google to get lots of definitions of ROI. Basically, what I'm looking for is there has to be some value to every single thing you do, and it has to be tangible value. And I don't want to hear you saying, oh, well, I can just do this to create brand awareness. If you've listened to any of the other publications or webinars or books or anything, blogs, anything else that I've done in the past, you will know that with a passion, I detest the words brand awareness, because they mean nothing. They really do mean nothing. It's a marketer's excuse for weak marketing in my book. I'm being totally honest here, because they're not tangible words. Brand awareness, what does that really mean? Doesn't mean you've got any more customers. Doesn't mean people have actually engaged with you. Doesn't mean that you've actually created value. It's just, people are aware of me. It's too light and fluffy and woolly. So what I want you to do as we plan our marketing plan for 2022 is create a plan that's an investment. Everything you do needs to show a return on that investment. And I'm going to talk to you about how you do that a little bit later. And I want to make sure that this plan is investing in you and in the people in your business or in your organization, and actually helping that every step moves you closer to your vision. So you as an organization or as a group of people, maybe in a startup, maybe sort of setting up something new, maybe you've got this big idea that you want to kind of move forward with next year, you've got to make sure that you have this really clear vision of a future that's different to today. And you need to make sure that this plan for next year, so your marketing plan 2022, is at every step moving you closer to your vision. This is really important stuff. A lot of us spend a lot of time just making more noise. We do posting in social, we do our vlogs, we do our TikToks, our Instagram posts. We've got all this stuff kind of going on. And there's the key thing. It's stuff. It's just stuff. It's noise, it's chaos. It's adding to this great big timeline of irrelevance that a lot of us see when we log into our social media accounts. Let's not contribute to that. Let's make sure that every step we take, every action we do, every tactic that we have in our marketing plan for 2022 takes us one step further towards a vision of a better future for us and for the people around us. That's really what we're trying to do here. Let's start to make a difference. Let's do some things that will really impact on the world around us. And I'll talk about this whole kind of marketing sustainability thing in a little while. And let's also become super efficient. So next year, I want you to obsess about continually removing underperforming products, services, tasks, customers, anything that isn't adding value to you moving forward towards your vision. Don't just keep doing stuff next year because, well, we've always done it like this, or, hey, well, it kind of worked last year, we think, we're not really sure, but we're going to try it again this year. I want you to be a lot more firm, a lot more strict with the things that make it into your plan. That's planning with an investment mindset. In other words, looking for value in everything you do. So by continually removing stuff that underperforms, your products, your services, any tasks that you do, and also customers. If you're serving customers that really, are not providing value to you achieving your vision, you are missing a trick, because there will be customers out there that you could be serving. So anything that you feel is underperforming and that you see evidence for, not giving you a good return on your investment, strip it out. Don't put it into your plan for next year, because we need to get super efficient. That is what this is all about. So planning for 2022 needs to have efficiency at the core of everything that we're talking about. And also, you're going to have some goals. We would call these SMART goals. So specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-bound. SMART goals, SMART objectives. We've all heard of these. If you haven't, do a Google search, look at SMART goals and objectives, because we need these within our plan. But what I want you to do differently, maybe to 2021 goals, is to reality check them. We all set stretch goals. In other words, we want our organization or our business to make huge gains and move forward as fast as we possibly can and in a great way. And that's fine. So do set those stretch goals, but reality check them. Are they actually realistic within the current environment that we're in? So I can't answer that for you. It's your organization, it's your marketing plan, but I just want you to take a little moment to just kind of reflect back and think, is my plan realistic? Are my goals realistic? And yes, stretch them, push out those boundaries, take some bold, even audacious steps in your marketing plan for 2022. That's fine. But don't get to a point where you stretch yourself too far beyond the point of reality. So just be mindful and conscious of how far you're trying to push things, because it's far better to make small incremental gains than push yourself so far that you actually don't achieve anything at all. And let's think about these resources. I said about 20% of your resources in 2022 should be allocated appropriately. In other words, starting to spend a little bit of time to reflect, to research, to listen, to pay attention. Don't just get caught up in the doing. Spend some time, at least 20%, in being. Okay, the big difference in business between doing and being. If you're present within your business, you will notice the little subtleties. Next year, you've got an opportunity to change. You've got an opportunity as you build this marketing plan for 2022 to do something a little bit differently. So I'd say, seize that moment. And, now when you're planning, now is the time to take that opportunity. 80% is got to be the doing. You've still got to be in business. You've still got to be delivering and serving and adding value. And that's great. But 20% of your time, needs to be about reflection, research, listening, and creating some real value. So stop trying to do too much. We all do it. I do it. I'm not here preaching at you saying I'm perfect. I'm not. Absolutely not. But what I have understood is that when I do take the time to reflect and research and properly listen and be really mindful within my own business, not only serving clients and customers, but actually with my own business as how we do stuff, then I find the outcomes are far, far stronger. So for next year, I'd really encourage you to spend some quality time within your sort of business, just being, okay, not doing the doing all of the time. And when you're doing that, look outside of your industry, outside of your sector. You know, we still see so many kind of job ads in places like LinkedIn and around their sort of social media that says, oh, you know, must have experience in this industry. Well, hold on a minute. That's a little bit limiting, isn't it? If you're only looking within your own industry, surely that's not the way to innovate. Wouldn't it be better to be looking outside at just really good practice, at interesting innovations, at organizations and people who have spent 2021 pivoting through 90 degrees and doing something completely different based on their skill sets and the opportunity available to them? So thinking more broadly outside of your market, your industry, or your sector, and especially if you're in marketing, outside of marketing as well. You know, what's the financial industry doing well? What are accountants doing really well? What are lawyers doing really well right now? How are they serving? You know, looking beyond, not just at marketing and the marketing tech, but actually look at tech outside of, you know, our day-to-day. Really get a good feel for opportunity and innovation and potential pivoting, because in that resource allocation, this 20% of, you know, spreading your load outside of just the day-to-day doing, you have an opportunity here to spot opportunities that your competitors will not, because they're locked down in doing the day-to-day. This is a big opportunity to do things differently through 2022, and I'd really encourage you to do that if you can. And surround yourself with specialists. You know, the old school way of doing marketing and actually running business, which was, you know, we've got to upskill in the things that we're weak at. No, you don't. In 2022, the current leadership mindset for the most successful business people and organizations across the planet is that we focus on where we're strong. We focus on our core competencies for 2022, and then we fill in behind us with people and specialists who are really great at the stuff we're not so good at. You know, don't try and solve your weaknesses. Find somebody else who can do that for you. That task or that piece of technology that you really don't understand, and you're going to spend ages trying to figure that out. Well, there's an expert over there who can do that for you. Focus on your core competency, the thing that you're great at as an organization, as a team, or as a brand. And surround yourself with specialists to infill the stuff that you're not so strong at. And participate in relevant events, communities, and conversations, either online or in person, where you can really glean this new innovation and opportunity kind of experience. So now get out there, start to spend some quality time exploring and being curious. 2022 is the year of curiosity. It's a year where we can do things differently and not just fall back on doing business the way that we always have. And I'd really like to challenge you to be thinking about, well, okay, I need to kind of really spot what's coming down the tracks, because if I'm doing a plan for 2022, I need to make sure it's going to serve beyond 2022, 2023, 2024 and beyond. So if I'm devoting this 20% of my resources, my time, my energy, and my budget to looking forward, I need to have a view of the marketing value of things like the metaverse, things like NFTs, things like social audio communities. I need to know this stuff. I need to kind of have a view on the value of these things. I don't need necessarily to be an expert in these things, but when somebody mentions them, I need to be able to say, well, yes, I've critiqued that, or yeah, we're watching that really closely. And when the time's right, maybe next year, maybe the year after, we might put those things into the plan. This is really important stuff. Think beyond what you've done in 2021. You need to have a view of NFTs and metaverse and social audio communities. These are big things that are going to be appearing in 2022 as opportunities for marketing your business or your organization. And if you don't even know what these terms are, now is the time to begin. And the reason for putting those three things in there is because I'm already seeing organizations and marketers and businesses seeing value from having a view and actually being not necessarily early adopters, but just knowing where these things fit in the mix going forward. And I'm not saying you have to then be at the cutting edge of everything. That's not what this is about, but it's just about being aware of those things as opportunities. Vitally important for our marketing plan 2022. And so with that knowledge, with that experience, with that kind of sort of curious mindset, we can then start to think about, okay, what is our new marketing mix going to be in 2022? So Neil, you're saying about it, it needs to be, new, it needs to be not the old school approach of the marketing mix. Well, I would say the starting point for figuring out where you are going to be focusing in 2022 is to think that your professional life, so this is when you're in work mode rather than home and leisure mode, when you're in work mode, your professional life should be solely focused on creation of value. Okay, now you can define what we mean by value, but I would challenge you by saying your new marketing mix for next year and beyond is about focusing on creation of value. So what do I mean by value? So when we define value, what does that actually mean in reality? Well, value comes from creation of a new breed of business, a business that balances the need to create profit with delivering sustainable well-being for all of its stakeholders. This is value, okay? Sustainable well-being for all of its stakeholders. In other words, anybody who comes into contact with you when you are in business or when you're in an organization, when you're acting and behaving and doing professional stuff, whatever role you're in, whatever sector you're serving, whatever customers you have, your role is to deliver value and a sustainable well-being for all of your stakeholders, everybody who has any kind of engagement with what you do professionally. And a business that balances non-financial, intangible assets and factors with the tangible and financial results. In other words, it's a balance of adding value as well as actually being there financially sustainable into the future. So we've still got to be able to make money. If you're in a commercial business or you're in a startup or you're in a sector that you're driving forward commercially as an organization, you've still got to make profit. 100% you've got to make profit. So your marketing plan for next year needs to reflect the fact that you still need to be in business. But it's not business at business's sake. It's business for the sustainable well-being of all of your stakeholders. Now, this is a new marketing mix. We're not here just to sell product and just to sell service. We're here to deliver value. In other words, obsession with delivering value and great outcomes for the well-being of everybody we encounter. So that is our customers, but it's also our suppliers. It's our partners, it's our associates, it's the agencies who we use. It's everybody who we encounter, as well as people and organizations that are in our ecosystem. And that will include literally everybody, including our staff. So this is a whole different kind of mindset. It takes us beyond just having products and services and thinking, yep, next year our marketing plan is all about selling our product. Well, it is, but it's also about thinking, yeah, but are we giving sustainable well-being outcomes to somebody who consumes that product, somebody who buys this service or what we provide? Are we actually changing their world for the better? Because if we're not, somebody down the road, and let's call them a competitor, actually is, okay? So if you're not choosing to do this, somebody else is going to do this. And in the very, very near future, this is going to be what you're going to be trading on. And if you're playing catch up because somebody else is providing better, sustainable well-being outcomes, then you've missed a trick and you were too late to the party. And this is going to become a real competitive edge. This is what people are going to be trading on from 2022 onwards. It's value, it's sustainable outcomes. It isn't just about getting a good product for a good price. Yeah, they still want to have that, but they're going to look and assess you, what you're providing, from the basis of, is my world going to be different as a result of choosing you? Is my world going to be more comfortable? Is my world going to see, just a better standard of living? Am I going to get great value from this business? And if you have to look at yourself and the answer is, not really sure, there's work to be done. Okay, so I'm going to help you to kind of think this through a little bit more. So if we're looking at value for all of our stakeholders, okay, this is anybody who touches our organization. And this new marketing mix focuses on 4 elements, 4 Ps. It's always been Ps. Product, place, price, promotion was the old one. But we're now talking about product, people, process, and profit. And I'm going to go into each of those 4 in a little while. So if you've got a keyboard ready, or you've got a notepad and a pen ready, make some notes here, because this is important stuff. Okay, these are the elements for your marketing plan for 2022, the things to really get passionate about: product, people, process, and profit. And there is another P that sits right at the heart of all of these, and that's called purpose. Okay, and purpose is your organization's meaningful and enduring reason to exist. Think about that for a moment. Your purpose as an organization is a meaningful and enduring reason to exist. In other words, what's the higher reason that you guys come together to do business on a day-to-day basis? And it isn't to sell this product or that service or to make money. That's not what we're talking about here. This is at a higher level than that. That's got to happen, but this is something that sits above it. What is your purpose? Where's the core value that you're going to bring next year to the world? And it really is to the world. I mean, the world around you, or the world, if you're international business, to the world in general. Because this higher level purpose, which aligns with your long-term financial performance, yes, of course it does, but it provides you a clear context, a clear background, a clear platform for daily decision-making that's going to unify and motivate everybody involved here, from your staff, your leadership. If you're in a big business, it's your management team, it's everybody that works in the business. If you're all working to a common purpose, in other words, the real purest high-level value that you add to the world around you, the communities that you engage with, and to the geography around you, the physical geography around you, then you're working in the new marketing mix. Now, if this sounds like something I haven't got a clue what you're talking about, Neil, I'm going to give you a link in just a moment to an organization that's going to help you. And you might have already heard about this, but there is something called the Mindful Collective, which is a not-for-profit organization of which I'm one of the co-founders. And we look at this whole idea of purpose to helping organizations and business people and people in commercial sense to understand what their higher purpose is, so that they can align this reason for being with long-term financial performance. Because you're in business, so you still need to make money, but it's making the right kind of money that's going to drive businesses into the future. And this is all going to start from your marketing plan next year, I would suggest. And again, don't wish to scare you here, but if you're not doing it, your competitor down the road is. So let's begin. So if you've got a notepad ready, or you've got a keyboard at the ready, let's build here the elements, or the building blocks, the pieces of the little jigsaw puzzle here that is this new marketing mix. And let's begin with product. Okay, so product, this is the creation of value. So your product, and I'm talking product in the generic sense here, so it could be product or service, so it could be a tangible physical product, or it could be a service if you're in a service business. There are 3 elements to each of these P's in the new marketing mix. The first one, product, comes in 3 forms, and this is research and analysis. So this is really understanding the marketplace, understanding the needs and the values that your marketplace wants from you. Innovation and co-creation. You can't create sustainable products into the future without co-creating. In other words, figuring out who else you need to create these products with you. And innovating, moving the game on. Just doing the same old thing that you've done before and just evolving stuff is no longer relevant. We've got to innovate. So that needs to be part of this value creation of our products. And also be thinking about customer relationships. In other words, how can we feed in the feedback that we've had from our existing customers and the existing marketplace to help us to create value? What does our customer really define as value? Can we listen to the customer and really understand what value means from their perspective? The days of us deciding what is valuable are gone. We need to listen to the customer and hear their perception of what value is, because value is in the eye of the beholder. It is all about the perception of value. So product value creation is research and analysis, innovation and co-creation, so doing this with others, and building strong customer relationships by listening. And it's mindfulcollective.net if you want an organization where there's a lot more detail on a website. There's a lot more detail behind this new marketing mix. They were the founders of this new marketing mix. So go to mindfulcollective.net if you want a little bit more detail. I'm really just sort of glancing across the surface of this new marketing mix in this broadcast, because it's important that you understand the bigger picture before you then delve a little more deeply. The second P, the P that is people in this new marketing mix for your marketing plan 2022. So people is all about stakeholder value. I've talked already about creating value for all stakeholders. So the three elements of people in your new marketing mix are the relationships you have with all stakeholders, and that is internal stakeholders, stakeholders around your organization, so your suppliers and your agencies, for example. It's also your customers. It's also the media. It might be influencers around your organization. They're all stakeholders. They've all got a vested interest in how your organization performs. So think about that. Who are your stakeholders? What kind of relationships do you have with them? And how could you create more value for each and every stakeholder group going forward into 2022? It's more than just customers. Marketing is now so much more than just serving customers. It's serving stakeholders with value creation. The second element of the people in the people P in the new marketing mix is leadership and culture. Are you an authentic organization? Are you an honest organization? Do you have the kind of culture and leadership that allows you to share authentically and transparently and openly actually what's going on? Do you genuinely listen to those in your organization or in your business? And do you reflect on that, and do you feed back to them in an open and authentic way? Authentic leadership and culture is at the core of the new marketing mix. We can't do greenwashing. We can't do papering over the cracks. We can't do ignoring those people who are actually creating value within our organization. You know, if you're in a big organization, you'll know that this cultural thing is always a big challenge. Internal communications and the way that you develop your people is a really important element of this going forwards. And that is part of this creation of stakeholder value in the people P of this new marketing mix. And also the third of the elements in the people P is employee engagement. We need to figure out within our marketing plan for 2022, how are we going to engage better with the people who work with us in our team, for us, if we're in leadership role or management role, and everybody who we encounter. We need to operate as one kind of ecosystem, as one core team, so that we can drive value. Because if we leave people on the periphery, or if we don't communicate effectively, we don't engage in an authentic, open and honest way with everybody we encounter, we're missing an opportunity, because this is the business of the future. What I'm defining here is an organization and a business that is actually going to be sustainable. And I'll talk a little bit about that in a moment. The process P, we're on to the third P in this new marketing mix. If you've only just joined this session, go to mindfulcollective.net for a much deeper explanation of this new marketing mix. But the third P in this process is value delivery. So we've scoped what value is, we've looked at the perception of value, we've looked at creating value for all stakeholders, and now we need to deliver it in our processes. So the third P is process in the new marketing mix. And the three elements of that is supply chain, sustainable delivery, and metrics and measurement. In other words, we need to figure out right through our supply chain, and this is going to be part of our marketing plan for next year. Who have we got to be talking to? Can we deliver value in everything we do? Sustainable delivery, really important. We need to be super efficient. We cannot have, loose elements of the efficiency that we do in terms of delivering product and service. We need to be continuously improving our efficiency. We need to be looking at our carbon footprint. We need to be sustainable. We need to be looking at a circular economy, new ways of doing business and delivering our products and services to market. And if we don't do this, this is the value that our customers and stakeholders are going to be expecting from us in 2022 and beyond. This new marketing mix is not hot air. This is the commercial reality that we're all going to face. And now, as we start to build this plan for next year, now is the time to be doing it. We can't sit and wait. We can't expect 2022 to look like 2021. It is not going to. There's too much opportunity out there. So now is the time to embrace this. And metrics and measurement should be an obsession. You remember a little bit earlier, I talked about the investment in marketing, the investment in our return on investment of resources for next year. Well, the only way we can understand whether or not we have been investing is if we measure and collect analysis and information that we can evaluate. So metrics and measurement, again, is another obsession for next year. And we need to be making sure that we're putting all of this into the mix, because continuous improvement can only come about if we know what we should be and could be improving. So just kind of doing the same old is no longer good enough. So this is why I was saying earlier, it's about stripping out inefficiency. It's about doing just a few things really, really well. Well, these are the things that really are at the core of this new marketing mix. It's about continuous improvement. And so on to the fourth of our new marketing mix Ps. This is the one called profit. And this is where we're going to return value back into the business. So the other things are kind of in isolation. You could say, yeah, they're lovely things to do, but they're a little bit kind of tree huggy. They're a little bit kind of, yeah, nice, but a little bit hippie. We're in business. We've got to make some money. And yes, absolutely, the new marketing mix totally and utterly agrees with you if that is your position on this. So we know we've got to make money, but we've got to make the right kind of money. So our pricing for 2022 and beyond needs to be value-based. In other words, we need to be pricing appropriately based on the value that our customers are perceiving they're getting from us. So don't just look at the competition and think, hey, we'll undercut them, we'll sort of do some discounts and some, that'll be value. That's not what your customer's going to be expecting. That's the old school way of marketing. The new pricing model is value-based. In other words, understanding very clearly from that first product P in the new marketing mix, what our customers value, providing that value and appropriately pricing the amount of cost that it has been, or the amount of investment it's been from us on our side in the business to provide that value. Value-based pricing is the future. To me, there is just no comparison, because it aligns with this authentic and sustainable view of actually who we are as a company. And with that in mind, the second element of this profit P and the value return to your business in this new marketing mix is conscious cost and revenue. And by that, what we mean is that you will not just be sourcing the cheapest widgets to make your products. Now, of course, you've got to translate this into the marketplace that you're in. So I'm not saying you actually do buy widgets, but how you source what you need to provide your products and services should not be based on just cost alone. So now going forward, it's about really understanding, where do we source our raw materials from? Where do we actually buy from? Who is providing us in our supply chain with the raw material, the widget, the service, the whatever it is for our business? And let's do this consciously. We don't necessarily buy the cheapest, we buy the most appropriate to give ourselves an opportunity to provide value. And by value, I mean, is it a sustainable? Is it a green organization that we buy from? Is it an organization that is sustainable into the future? Those are the kinds of relationships for sourcing raw materials that we need to be focusing on. And our revenue, would we sell to anybody? Would we sell to an organization or a person who we knew was doing wrong to the planet, who wasn't really aligned with our higher purpose or our values as a business? Well, back in the day, you possibly would, because it meant you were making more money. But going forward from 2022 and beyond, you really, really shouldn't. I would say you really, really must not. Revenue, conscious revenue in this new marketing mix is all about selling to the right people and the right businesses for the right reasons. This is about creating a sustainable business and bringing in the concept of circular business as well, circular economy. Do a little bit of research if that's a new phrase for you, to make a little note to do a Google search on that, because that is an important one going forward. This is the circularity of the products and services in use in the real world. In other words, we are trying to strip out wastage. We're trying to be super, super efficient. And maybe there's some kind of subscription model that we could introduce here for our products and services that is super efficient, really sustainable, and just does good and serves our higher purpose. As I say, there's a lot in this new marketing mix that I don't have time to cover in this session. So head over to mindfulcollective.net, and that's mindful with one L, mindfulcollective.net, and you'll see the breakdown of that and some guides and some free resources, which will hopefully, if that is important to you, give you a really clear steer on where you can take that. So what you're probably picking up already in this session is that less is more. What I want you to do is really focus down on where pure and true value is going to come in 2022. So not doing just more of the same and actually more and more, but actually focusing on three and selecting three strategic themes, as I'm going to call them. And by strategic, I mean they have a longer term value and benefit, not just for 2022, but into the years that then follow. And I would suggest doing one purpose-driven theme. So figure out between you as an organization or as a company, what is our higher purpose? Beyond just selling products and services, why are we actually here? What are we trying to do that adds real value to the world around us? Choose a theme that you can focus on in 2022 that will underpin all of the activities that you do within your action plans. Choose one marketing sustainability theme. In other words, become super efficient, super mindful, super conscious about increasing the efficiency in one core area. Look where you can, save money. Look where you can save process. Look where you can save time, and get a little project together, or maybe a big project together, that allows you to focus on sustainability and doing things properly, and really kind of focusing and investing time and energy to doing it in the right kind of way. And choose a theme maybe that serves that higher purpose as well. So the two things kind of join together. And your third strategic theme that I encourage you to do is to think about one that really adds to your CLV, and that's your customer lifetime value. That's a measurement of the amount of value that as a business you get from your core target customer. So if you've done some market segmentation, or you've broken down your customers into little segments and you've chosen the most profitable or the most valuable one to you as an organization, that is the value that you get from that segment over the lifetime of engagement that you work with them or that you serve them. So choose one theme that would actually increase or add value to the value that you give to that customer. that customer group, that customer segment, or that customer persona. Figuring out the kinds of customers who, you have the most professionally intimate relationship with is really important in this mix. So figure that out, know what that customer lifetime value is, the financial value I'm talking about here, and then try and see if you can weave into that some of these more strategic values, some of this more purpose-driven value as well. So create a little project or a big project around that as a theme. And to me, this will stretch on what you've been doing this year. So not just a tactical action plan to sell more product and service, but actually starting to introduce, as you go into next year, some really core strategic themes as you start to build what is your marketing plan for 2022. So at this stage, we seem to have quite a few of the building blocks for making this plan a reality. And at this point, I want to introduce you to, you may have already come across this, but Paul Smith, who is a bit of a marketing guru, I would have to say, because he created the concept of SOSTAC. And if you haven't come across SOSTAC, I would really recommend that you look up or do a search on SOSTAC by P.R. Smith. You will find Paul's website, and you'll be able to look at some templates and some thinking, and you can become a SOSTAC practitioner should you so wish, and you can download loads of really, really useful resources from his various websites. But what Paul has created is a very, very simple but hugely powerful framework for creating a marketing, a digital, a business, or a strategic plan. And you can do this at the very, very high level. This is what we're looking at here for our 2022 marketing plan. You can create it at a relatively high level, but you could also do this for an individual campaign or mini project within your business. And SOSTAC stands for 6 different elements: situation analysis, objectives, strategy, tactics, action plan, and control. Okay, situation, objectives, strategy, tactics, actions, and control. And the idea behind SOSTAC is that it allows you to put into what is in effect a kind of a well sort of constructed kind of checklist, all of your what otherwise would be quite random thinking, and it aligns your actions, the things you're going to do on a day-to-day basis, with your tactical goals. In other words, your choices of marketing channels, your focus on a particular type of customer persona or customer segment. It aligns all these things together with your strategy. In other words, what are your strategic themes, your strategic goals for the coming year? And it aligns those strategic goals with your core objectives, those SMART objectives that I talked about right at the start of this session. And all of that in the context of your current situation or context or analysis or marketplace. So in other words, you do your research, you build your SMART goals based around the opportunities you find in that research. You understand how strategically that's going to impact on your organization and the opportunities that present themselves. You then start to filter that down to some tactical decisions for the things that you're going to do next year. So the choices of channels, the choices of comms, the focus on a particular target audience. And then you develop an action plan, the things you're going to do on a quarterly, monthly, weekly, daily, maybe even hourly basis to serve those tactical goals. And then the really important C at the end of SOSTAC, the C at the end of the word, is control, and that is measurement. You've heard me say a number of times the importance of measuring and continuously improving. Well, you can only do that if you turn the information that you see into intelligence. In other words, you can only turn the things that you encounter from the data that you capture, your analytics, your insights, the measurements that you do and that you see, you can only turn that into reality in terms of continuous improvement if you evaluate that information. So turning information into intelligence and then really acting on that is part of this marketing plan that you're creating for next year. And so SOSTAC would be, for me, the core sort of framework, if you like, that I'd recommend. So go and research that if you haven't come across that before. It's a really nice, neat way of actually sort of managing that into the future. But also, I want to just sort of finish off here by some tips of the things that I've covered in these building blocks that I've shared with you. So create your plan tips would be never use the words budget or cost, use the word investment. Okay, that will change the mindset away from just we're going to spend on stuff, we're going to spend time doing this, we're going to spend money doing this, to being we're going to invest in doing this. So we're expecting to see a return on everything that we do. Agree your highest priority customer persona and then choreograph a customer journey for them within this marketing plan. And I always like to think, well, okay, how would I filter that down? Because there's loads of different customer types or customer personas that I could focus on. So I would always start with asking the question, if you could only market to one persona through 2022, through one customer definition or one customer profile or one customer segment, who would that be? You're only allowed to do one. Okay, this will really, really focus your mind and your mindset in. If you're only allowed to do one, who would that be? And that will hopefully start to get you thinking really, really quite in a focused way about the journey, the customer journey that's going to really help to empower this marketing plan in reality. And then when you start to build your action plan for all the things you're going to do to serve those tactical goals and to serve that high level strategy and to begin to add value to all the stakeholders and all the stuff that we talked about, you are going to need to prioritize. And so what I'd recommend is you start to put into the pot, into this lovely pot, all these ingredients that are going to create this amazing recipe for you. What I would suggest is that you start by thinking about, once you've got everything into the pot, prioritizing all of the opportunities. Because as I've said all along, this is about doing less, but key things that are most important to you. So to create this plan, I would suggest that you use the must, should, could filter. So you put all of the things that you could possibly be doing into one of three pots: things that you must do, things that you should do, and things that you could do. And if you're really, really stringent in the way that you assess each of the things, and you take each and every item in isolation and think, right, is this a must do? I must do this because it really serves this higher value and our purpose and actually creating stakeholder value, and it just really fits. So we must do it. Some things will be, well, we should do it. Yeah, we should do it because the competition are doing it, and we should do it because we've always done it and it's always been profitable. That probably goes into the should pocket. And then all the other stuff goes into could. And could, you're only ever actually in reality going to do when you finish the musts and the shoulds. And generally, you're never going to be able to do that because none of us have got unlimited resource. So it allows you then to focus on the things that really are in the must category. We must do these to serve the objectives that we've set, to position ourselves more strongly by the end of 2022. And if you find you've got a whole host of things in the must category because there are just a lot of things that you must do, then what you can do is use a secondary filter, which is the now, soon, later. So by filtering things must, should, could, taking all of the musts, all of those items in the must box, and then filtering them again with now, soon, later. I'm not going to say now is like between now and sort of the end of the week, or soon is like next week or next month. You can decide on the timescales, but it is now, soon, later allows you to put a little bit of a timeline against the must items. And of course, everything that's in the must category, you must do to achieve your objectives. But now, soon, later puts a little bit of a commercial reality to not overpromising, not overstretching yourself, and not doing too much too soon. And I would also then recommend that you obsess about efficiency, remembering that the 80-20 rule always applies. 80-20, the Pareto principle, always applies to everything. 80% of your revenue will come from 20% of your customers. So find out who those 20% of your customers are. 80% of your outcomes come from 20% of your efforts. So make sure you focus on the effort that provides the best outcome. And 80% of your enjoyment comes from 20% of your activities. So you need to have a good time in 2022. I'm not here to say you're not going to have a good time and you're going to be obsessed with all your plans and this, that, and the other. You'll know that 80% of your enjoyment comes from just a few of the things that you do. So figure out what those things are, because part of this is also about having a really good time on the journey. This is about doing things differently. This is about having a lot of fun on your marketing plan 2022 journey. So we've only really had a short opportunity to cover a whole host of things over this last hour. So what I'd love to do is really sort of keep in touch here and hopefully answer some more questions in a little while. If we're not connected, you can find me in social at Neil Wilkins X. That's Neil Wilkins X in all of the social media. And certainly I'm using, as far as this platform is concerned, I'm using LinkedIn and Twitter really predominantly to connect. So if you've got any questions or if there's anything that you want to be covering or finding out a little bit more about, then certainly let's connect and I can sort of point you in the right direction. Love to answer any questions that you might have. You might also be interested to listen to my podcast. That's the Neil Wilkins podcast. You just have to search your favorite podcast platform to find me on that, or do a Google search and you will find me. And these topics obviously are included in the Cambridge Marketing College podcast, because this is part of the Cambridge Marketing College monthly apprentice webinar series. And so you'll find a lot more of these kinds of episodes over on the Cambridge Marketing College podcast as well. So thank you very much for coming along to this session today. I hope you found it interesting, and I look forward to hearing from you if you have any challenges at all for your marketing plan 2022. I wish you every success next year. Remember, this is all about creating value for all of your stakeholders and finding out really what it is that they would perceive as true value, because that, after all, in marketing and in business, is actually why we're here.